Hey, good morning again from Grapevine, Texas. By tonight, hopefully we're in Katy. So anyway, we are going to do Genesis 18 and 19 today. That's Sodom and Gomorrah. So fun. We're going to get to see God destroy some stuff. So we're going to jump in here with chapter 18, three visitors. Keep in mind going into this, the three visitors Abraham's about to get, one of them's God, the other two are angels. One's the Lord, the other two are angels. So it says, the Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat. The mental note on his tent, okay, because that's going to mean something. Sitting by his tent in the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may wash your feet and rest under the tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant." It was very you had to be hospitable back then, so to any of your passersby. But I feel like Abraham's kind of recognizing that these guys mean something, that one of them maybe the Lord, so he says, now that you have come to your servant. Very well, they answered, do as you say. So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. Quick, he said, get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread. Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant, who hurried to prepare it. Then he brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared and set those before them. While they ate, he stood near them under the tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "Oh, she's there in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." So remember, she was impatient before, and she brought Hagar in, and which was, her maid servant, had Abraham sleep with her. This was last week. She ran her off, got really jealous. The Lord brought Hagar back, but they're saying, the angels and the Lord, they're saying Sarah's gonna have a baby. Mind you, she's like 90 years old, but so she hears them. Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Wow, is anything too hard for the Lord? So Sarah kind of she believes and doesn't believe. I'll show you, because the next line says, Sarah was afraid, so she has fear of the Lord. So she lied and said, "I did not laugh." So let's read that again. Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did." Sometimes there's miracles out there that God performs, and we know it because we've been around long enough, but we just can't see it. And so we doubt. But God is bigger. God made everything around us. He made the mountains that we are facing to climb. So nothing's too big for God, but she had her doubts. All right. So we're about to get into Sodom and Gomorrah. It says, when the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom and Abraham. Let's see. I had notes on that. About one was the Lord. Yep. So we're good. When the men got up to leave, they looked down towards Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised to him. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went down toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Okay, so the two angels, they're as men right now, right? And so this is kind of like a foreshadowing of Jesus. Like, the Lord can come and take this shape. So two angel men go down and to Sodom and Gomorrah to check it out. Abraham stays in the presence of the Lord. I'm kind of seeing like up on the rocks-ish, and they're looking down on the valley where all these things are. The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? So Abraham's kind of judging the judge, right? Like, oh, God, you wouldn't do that, right? But I think in the back of his mind, remember, Lot went down to the flats, and Abraham stayed up in the mountains. So his nephew's down there, his nephew's daughters, the son-in-laws. So he's kind of fishing around here. Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. So then Abraham spoke up again. Well, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous people is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5 people? And the Lord said, if I find 45, I will not destroy it. Once again he spoke to him. What if only 40 are there? He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. Well, then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak a little bit more. What if only 30 can be found there? He answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Abraham said, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there? He said, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. And then he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just one more time. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. So he's hinting, like, I have a little bit of family down there, just checking it out. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Okay, so that's chapter 18. Abraham goes back to his tent. We got the two down, checking out Sodom, seeing how bad it is. And if there's enough righteous people, God's going to spare it. So we're going to see what the angels find out. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him, and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, okay, wait, time out real quick. So Lot's at the gates, right, of the city. So that means that that's where they held court. So he's kind of like a council member there. So he's part of the community. Remember when they split ways, when Abraham and Lot split ways, Lot took the flats, and it was down by Sodom. So he's got his cattle and everything down in kind of the big meadows. His operation is closer to town. He's got a house there. He's part of the city council there, the elders. He's a good guy, but he knows about the swamp and the bad guys too. So he's kind of turned a blind eye to that. That's where Lot is. He kind of plays both ends against the middle, but he's not bad, but he's also Abraham's, blood. But he is kind of part of this dirty community. So we'll pick it up again. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. Dude, crazy, right? Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." So you have to be very hospitable in that time, right? You're kind of judged by the community in that. Abraham, he was very hospitable towards the 3 men, the 3 strangers, which ended up being God and 2 angels. So good on Abraham. But Lot is so desperate to kind of like walk the middle of the road. He's willing to give up his 2 virgin daughters to show hospitality to these 2 strangers, right? Not good. He's always just kind of like giving in. He's really soft on the sin side of things. So not good. And this whole scene, I mean, they're surrounding his house, and it's kind of like if you've seen Shawshank Redemption, you know, it's like fresh fish is what they're after. As weird as that is, and as dirty as that is, these people are so perverted. All they want, they would rather have 2 strange men. The men would rather have 2 strange men than even the virgin daughters that Lot's offering up. So the place is gone to hell, right? "Get out of our way," they replied. "This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them." They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. So they're like kicking this thing in for fresh fish. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men outside who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. Thank God, the angels just came into action, right? The 2 men said to Lot, "Do you have anyone else in here? Son-in-laws, sons or daughters, anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it." Okay? Like, they're bad. But he's going to spare Lot. He's going to try anyway. So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-laws who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, "Hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city." But his son-in-laws thought he was joking. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, hurry, take your wife, take your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when this city is punished." So it's coming, dawn's breaking, and he's got to flee. Evacuation, right? When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." So, I don't know, it doesn't really say, but perhaps Lot, saved that town. If the town wasn't corrupt and he knew about it, also he kind of shortchanged himself and said, "Well, I can't make it all the way to the mountains, but I'll go to the little village on the outskirts. We'll save that." "Very well, I will grant you this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it." That is why the town is called Zoar, parentheses, okay? So they named it. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and all the vegetation in the land. So I'm kind of thinking like meteor shower or lava something. He lit this place on fire, lit it up. Okay, they're gone. All the bad places, the people, everything around it just torched. But Lot's wife looked back. Remember they said don't look back? Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Right there, froze. Okay, and part of this is like Lot's wife wanted still all the good things. Like, it's kind of a lesson to us, to when God's trying to take us to a new place and save us from whatever we were going through, we always kind of want to look back and like hold on to the things that we love, even though it might be kind of painful. God's saying move on, and she still is kind of clinging to the past. When God says move, we need to move and not question it and not hang on to the past, especially if it was full of sin. Okay, there may have been things about it we enjoyed. They're gone. We're following the Lord. So she didn't do that. She kind of had a split. This is a monument to having this split decision of, yes, I'm following the Lord, but I'm trying to hang on to my past at the same time. Not good. So she turned into a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from the furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. So he spares Lot. Lot and his daughters. Let's see. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar. Remember the little town that saved him, and settled in the mountains. For he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father." That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him drunk on wine again tonight, and you can go in and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites today. So Lot always kind of had a soft spot for the sin, and he was righteous light. Okay, sin light, righteous light. And look what it got him. He had the house and the wife and the political position and the meadows with his cattle on him and everything for a little while, but he walked the middle of the road too long, and he ended up without a wife and in a cave, his daughter's getting him hammered and committing incest. Like, that's where him being so soft on sin and not as righteous as he should have been, could have been, led him. He ended up in a cave with his daughters getting him drunk to sleep with him. So it's the last they mention Lot in Genesis, but it is the bad path. Remember, he had the house and the council seat and everything, and Abraham, who remained righteous, still lived in his tent, and he followed the Lord, and he was there for the Lord and not trying to please himself and kind of be righteous and play all the parts. So bad on Lot. So that's where we're going to end it. He was spared. The daughters had the 2 sons. Mind you, the Ammonites, and which was from that Ben-Ami, the one daughter, and the Moabites from Moab. So the 2 sons, they made these tribes that have been attacking Israel's enemies from then till now, right? So by doing this, by that kind of sin, they have created the tribes that are not for God, they're not righteous, and that ends up being Israel's enemies. So bad things came from Lot, but he was spared because God was constantly trying to give him mercy, and he wasted it. But Abraham got the mercy, and he's going to continue on, and we'll pick him up next week. So anyway, have a great weekend. Love you guys. Be safe, but be wild too, and I'll be praying for you. See you next week. Bye.